Hello and good evening. I hope you can hear me, and I hope you don't mind me being back in the box. I'm back in the box where David Blaine never existed. Um, this is a place that seems to work. It's a better part of this particular restaurant than the place last night for some of you. I apologize to those of you who don't like background noise. I also thank those of you who said you rather enjoyed the background noise. Um, I am not some kind of technical guru, and I am definitely not like people on other channels where you will get the refined technical thing in the background because I don't have anyone to help me with my technical stuff because my technical person is currently going through a divorce and he is a little stressed with his own problems, so he doesn't do very much. And I have been unable to get him to turn up and help me. So I can't really do much about that. Um, but here we are. Susie Ashenden is asking if I'm in a disco. No, I'm sitting in a box. That's all I'm doing, Susie. Um, I'm terribly sorry if you can't hear me. I will see if the volume turns up. Does that help? Matters. I don't know. I have utterly no idea. So I'm not living in the box. No, I've been on the boat to Saint Tropez today and had a lovely lunch in the centre of Saint Tropez after visiting the market there. And it's great to see a town thriving and surviving in spite of the fact that most of its very rich previous residents, the Russians, are no longer there. It seems to be doing very well. Um, the market there for properties is going bonkers. I will come to that story later. I will come first to the story that I missed last night, and shame on me. I think it was very disappointing. The history of the breakfast martini, which is what I promised to talk about. And the breakfast martini is a cocktail you should all have tomorrow morning. I do hope you enjoy having it. Um, my dear old friend Salvatore Calabrese, a great cocktail maker who used to make cocktails for me at the Lanesborough Hotel. And then he moved on to other hotels, including Rocco Forte's Brown's Hotel, um, and in between the Playboy Club, which was a reinvention of the Playboy Club, not the original Playboy Club. Mr. Calabrese, who has pioneered cocktail making in many regards, has been celebrated this weekend for um, making a wonderful breakfast martini cocktail. And it's very simple, so I urge you to make one. 1 teaspoon of good quality marmalade. Um, I think you can use whatever marmalade you want. This is the Guardian. They're getting a little carried away and talking about their own choices. I don't think we need to tell people what marmalade to use. The Guardian, thank you for that. But I like all sorts of marmalade. I love my mother's own homemade marmalade, far better to any shop bought nonsense. 25 milliliters of lemon juice, 20 milliliters of Cointreau, a 50 milliliter of London dry gin. They use Tanqueray. I would say up the quantity of gin and use number 3, Martin Miller's, maybe the Gilpins, maybe the Fishers or something like that. 1 orange twist to garnish. And there we go. So that is your suggestion for a drink for tomorrow morning to accompany your breakfast. So before all the ranters and ravers who criticize me for liking drinks, I like a drink in the morning as much as I like a drink in the evening. As I've always said, if you can't have 1 at 11, have 11 at 1. Time is only for the middle classes. So, boom, boom, try one of those. And, this is a drink that came to Salvatore in 1996 as he shared a breakfast of marmalade toast with his wife. Hence the name, Breakfast Martini. Pairing a spoon of marmalade with a splash of gin, he wanted to keep the English culinary world in mind. He added in Cointreau and lemon juice to capitalize on the sweetness and freshness of other components. Thus, a classic was born. Here is your Sunday morning suggestion. So we begin tonight with something positive and joyful, unless you are a teetotaler. I do apologize to you. Perhaps you could make it without the gin. There we go. That would be your own choice. Immediately, the drink was popular. It became a drink many ordered in the morning, making it a breakfast cocktail through and through. So when I used to go off to the Hawksmoor Grill in the city on one occasion, I remember with my friend Anthony Brown, a wonderful gentleman of the city, we had the breakfast martini with our full English breakfast, and then we went on to 3 more meals during that day. It was an epic feast just prior to Christmas about 5 or 6 years ago, and I will not forget that day out for the rest of my life. But we did begin with a breakfast martini. Not only this, but it started a new theme in cocktail making. Colin Asare Apaya, trade director of Bacardi and a former bartender, said it spawned a whole generation of cocktails using preserves. The Cosmonaut, which features a spoon of raspberry jam, another of our favorites. Well, I will stick with the marmalade myself, and I've written many articles about people who love marmalade, including the wonderful contest held whereby a 7-year-old won the contest. I can't remember her name, but she created a wonderful marmalade during one of the lockdowns, an absolutely wonderful child, aged about 7 or 8, and it was then sold in Fortnum and Mason. That is a kind of positive news story. And I also remember, and this may make me sound to be a marmalade bore, but The Guardian had a series of letters in about 2020 from people who had differing views of how marmalade should be made and what made marmalade wonderful. Differing opinions about marmalade. I think that is the idiosyncrasy of British life that brings joy to our society. That is the counterpoint to all this misery and mayhem that we're currently going through. I think it's lovely to celebrate people making something with a Seville orange as opposed to an orange from somewhere else. I think that adds up to a greater, wonderfuler society. That is something positive, delightful, and joyous. And Paddington Bear and the Queen, the marmalade sandwich sketch. What a wonderful thing. Marmalade brings joy to our lives, so we should celebrate marmalade much more. I think that would be a wonderful, joyous, fabulous thing to do. And in this era of hatred and misery, we need something joyous. So why don't you wake up tomorrow morning, if you have the ingredients, if you have a bit of marmalade and a bit of gin and a few of the other things, make yourself a marmalade martini and start the day. Listen to the Archers, whatever you do, like I do. The Broadcasting House. I don't know whether I'll be able to listen to it because I'm in Brexit, Britain banned France, where I can't get hold of many things on this iPlayer, but I would love to listen to my Archers because that is my Sunday morning routine. But let's Start the day with something positive. Have a marmalade breakfast martini. There we go. I meant to talk to you about that last night. I do apologize, I forgot. So I begin with what I forgot. And there are 130 of you here, and that's absolutely delightful. Thank you very much for turning up to listen to this deranged man in a box. I am here, and I have been in Saint Tropez most of the day, where I have been in the market, and I've witnessed, how people live in the market there. A wonderful place. But I think what we should begin with is Meghan Markle, or her correct title is the Duchess of Sussex. The Duchess of Sussex has been angling for a long time for a political career. Is this correct? I say no. Now, Dianne Feinstein has died. Dianne Feinstein is somebody who is being lauded by many people, but it also must be remembered that Dianne Feinstein had some very dubious connections. I do not like Dianne Feinstein. I met Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein had close links with China. And I think the Chinese people that she had links with were not particularly savory. I do not support those that come out with the salutations that Dianne Feinstein was a great lady. Mrs. Feinstein was wheeled out until she was, on her deathbed to vote. And now Gavin Newsom, who is a person who I have respected and known for many, 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 many years, since the early 2000s. He has been mayor of San Francisco. He has been a businessman who was supported by Gordon Getty. He has been Lieutenant Governor of California from 2011 to 2019. He's been the 40th Governor of California since 2019. Now, he has the right to choose who takes over Dianne Feinstein's position until 2024. And supposedly, according to sources, Meghan Markle thinks she's the front runner. I think Miss Markle, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, whatever you want to call her, Meghan, as I call her, she's always been gunning for politics since she's realized that her role as a royal is over. She is no longer persona grata in the royal family. She is persona non grata. She is a disgrace, and she is an abomination, and her drip of a husband should disappear along with the dreaded Fergie and Prince Andrew. But Meghan Markle has the desire to become president, and she views this perhaps as a stepping stone. If she goes forward with this will be a disaster zone. It will be an absolute mess. This is appalling that this woman thinks she can intervene in politics. Now, there will be many other candidates, and many of them will be far wealthier and far more experienced. And many of them probably will be able to outmaneuver her. So maybe this will never ever happen. But this is being discussed. This is a worrying sign of the future agenda of the woman formerly known as Meghan Markle. Ms. Markle is a known left-wing person Nothing wrong with that if you support left-wing politics. Miss Markle is an advocate for women, allegedly. I think Miss Markle is actually not an advocate for any of those things. I think Miss Markle is an advocate for Miss Markle. I think Miss Markle would drop her husband like the drop of a hat if it would help her get somewhere. That is how she treats everybody along the way. How many times has Meghan Markle been married? Twice or thrice? It is a genuine question that people keep asking. You know, there are many questions, and I've asked all those questions in my publications, Steeple Times. You are welcome to read them again and again. Ms. Markle is somebody who I don't have any time with. For. There we go. But Gavin Newsom has the right to choose. And I know Gavin because I knew Gavin when he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle. I had to sit at a table at a dinner party with Kimberly Guilfoyle, a revolting, horrible toe rag of a woman who subsequently married Donald Trump's son. Mr. Newsom is somebody who has gone on to do very good things in spite of various troubles on his ways. He has brought in civilization for various people in San Francisco. He became a well-known mayor of San Francisco. He became the governor of California. He is likely to go further in life. But Mr. Newsom, please don't go down the route of supporting this stupid piece of toe rag. I'm disappointed that Mr. Newsom does not respond to my requests and my letters to him about the Menendez brothers. I have written to him on several occasions about that. He should show humanitarian qualities, and he should do something to help two brothers who have been wrongfully imprisoned. They deserved to be imprisoned for manslaughter. They did not deserve to be imprisoned for murder. So, Gavin Newsom, you will not be listening. I'm sure you're a very busy man right now. I haven't seen you in many years, but I did know you in the past, and I thought you were a very pleasant gentleman. And as a gentleman, I say to you, please do something to help those Menendez brothers. Do nothing to help Miguel. I think it is a shocking state of affairs that Mental Meg, as I will now refer to her, is planning a political dynasty. Who the hell does she think she is? She is not the modern day Kennedy. She is the modern day Menace. Menace Meg, Mental Meg should be confined to the dustbin of political nonsense. Bambi Debonair interrupts to say that I should be on Strictly. I believe that's that dancing program. No, I couldn't dance if I tried. I'm the most useless dancer. I don't think that would ever work. Polar Vortex says, sorry, had to sit with Kimberly. Did I get indigestion? Actually, Polar Vortex, the evening I had to sit with Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is now Kimberly Trump, she spent most of that evening on her telephone. And I turned to her and I said, there were 10 people at the table and we were at a dinner of hundreds. And I had to host the table. I said, most people would not behave so rudely. She said, don't you see I'm a busy woman? And I went, yeah, well, why don't you just clear off, bog off, basically. I never came across such a revolting woman as Mrs. Guilfoyle. She's common trash. She belongs in the gutter, and I hope she rots in the hell where she belongs. An appalling, dreadful woman. Matthew on Big Brother would be interesting, says Paulie. No, that's never going to happen. Do you think I'm like Michael Barrymore, who would go on the program where you'd be worshipped by and worship Jimmy Savile? Certainly not. Definitely never ever. So no. I'm direct and honest, and that is what I am. I will stick to that. Thank you, Paulie. I speak my mind, and you love that. Well, that's kind of you to say. Many people write to me and give me a load of abuse. I really couldn't care less about the people who write me and give me a load of abuse. It actually makes me laugh. I, the more abuse you send me, the more I laugh. So, to all you abusers out there, don't think you're actually making me upset because I couldn't give a damn. Frankly, my dear, I could not give a damn. So, any of you that wish to send me abuse tonight, don't waste your time because you should use it on somebody else who actually you might upset. But I don't wish you to upset anybody. You're appalling people. You're disgusting, and you're wrong. And that's where we shall come on to our next topic, which is, of course, the matter of so Laurence Fox was spotted in public. Mr. Fox has been going off to some misogynistic rant about Ava Evans yet again. He has been ranting on his Twitter. He's entitled to do whatever he wishes. Now, I don't say this man doesn't have a right to say what he wants, but he is becoming more and more extreme. He has been hanging around with a group called Turning Point. Turning Point are a far-right organization. This is, to me, not the kind of behavior one would expect of a member of somebody from the civilized Fox family. His relative, Viscountess Gormanston, I knew long ago. Some of his other relatives I've known, and I don't know him personally. I know people who went to school with him. I don't know him personally. He is going too far. He is crossing the line into racism, misogyny, bigotry, and he is too much. I think he, as Nicole says, he's not the fantastic Mr. Fox. I don't think Edward Fox would behave in this manner. Angela has never heard of Laurence Fox. Well, there you go. Angela is lucky. There we go. So we're on a different chapter here with Mr. Fox, who used to be in, innocent TV shows about mystery and murder. But he is ranting and raving and going to pubs where they have drag queen story hours. Now, I don't see the need for drag queen story hours in pubs, but if that's what that pub wishes to do, the owners of that pub have the right to give their drag queen story hour. I've seen a lady who's called Miss.com. She comes and performs in the pub that I go to, and she's a wonderful, entertaining act. Miss.com, and I urge you all, or if you can go and watch Miss.com, please do. Miss.com made great fun of me because she thought that I was some kind of toff, even though I'm not. So there you go. I think one should be able to deal with humor and grace with situations. It's up to everyone what happens. But I think Laurence Fox's intolerance is disgusting, revolting, and wrong. He is going too far with all of this, but this is a man who is a hypocrite. He was happy to take the shilling from the GBUs, and now he's making out the GB News are part of the establishment. Well, make up your mind. And you also, Calvin Robinson, supposed vicar, and also you, Dan Wootton, who frankly is a man the Byline Times have done a great investigation into, and it's jolly well time that the Ofcom dealt with him appropriately. Let's see what happens. Fair judgment. Let's see what happens. So they're all living on a prayer, but Calvin, chaotic, whatever he's called, Laurence, who is completely laughable, and deranged Dan are not people I would take seriously. Paulie calls him sideshow god. Yes, quite correct. That's what I said last night. It's imploding for these people. I don't watch GB News. I've watched clips of GB News. I've never actually watched a whole episode of anything on it. But I don't like the quality of the people, the likes of the dreadful Amanda Platel, who is a wicked woman who supported Rolf Harris and talked about her dear friend Rolf Harris. We're talking about people here who are cuckoo. They are off their rockers. And I don't need to start watching GB News now, and I don't see the need to call for anything other than let Ofcom deal with it. I think this thing should be appropriately dealt with, but if it isn't appropriately dealt with, there should be an outroar of outrage and fury, because this is a channel that has allowed a bunch of hateful, horrible, creepy people to say far too much. I don't like GB News. I don't like what it stands for, and I don't think it's morally right to stand here and say anything otherwise. I equally, though, say if you wish to watch GB News, that is your moral right. But I will not be agreeing with people who like it. So, therefore, that is my view. There we go. So, have you any questions about this particular topic? If not, I shall move along. And thank you very much to Tina De Silva for her kind contribution. I don't quite know how these things work because I don't receive anything of any of this yet, because I'm new to all of this. So I don't know how it works, but thank you. It says Tina De Silva, £5. Thank you, Tina De Silva. That's very generous of you. I believe YouTube control all of these things. I have no idea quite how it works. And my technical person is in the middle of getting divorced, and he doesn't have any way of assisting me because he's rather distressed. So therefore, he doesn't come into the equation. So there we go. Right. Nikki Darville says, don't forget to watch the last episode of The Woman in the Wall. Well, I would love to watch it, but I cannot watch it because in France, because of the stupid Brexit, like it is with my stupid Ladbrokes account, I cannot watch anything. It has changed since my last visit because of our idiotic conservative government that brought in this stupid Brexit, which brought in differing rules. Our country has been forced into this situation. How shocking for me. Instead, whilst I'm down here in France, I'm reading books. I got a book about spies today, and I'm going to be reading that. There was a book stand in the local market which did sell a few English books, so I had to pay rather a lot for them, but I bought the English books because wherever I go, I buy books. I collect books. I go to supermarkets, I get books. I go anywhere, I get books. In the wonderful Magnet, we get books. I take them books as well, but we love to share books. So there we go. But I should talk next about a different topic, which is another example like the crooked house and the sycamore tree of destruction. And this is the Mucky Duck in Nottinghamshire. Now, the Mucky Duck is a restaurant, grade 2 listed in Drakeholes, Nottinghamshire. It was rammed repeatedly by a digger at 11:50 on Wednesday. Damage of £200,000 has been caused, and a telehandler vehicle was driven at the restaurant before reversing and hitting it repeatedly. The owners, who opened it in 2020, said, "I'm chocked for lost for words. It's all very bizarre. It's rammed straight through the disabled access and then driven at the building at God knows what speed. It was a stolen heavy construction vehicle, and it was driven over a pub bench. The 18th century restaurant was hit 6 times in 4 different places, leaving holes in different sides of the building. The owners have said, "We have thought about how and why somebody would do this, and it just seems they were desperate to get us shut down. There's no other explanation. I don't know who or why on earth would this happen. As if the industry hasn't hit hard enough when you have this to deal with. Business has been going really, really well. We have bookings through from midday through to this evening, and we've had to cancel. Now we can't open." Now, I think that this is another example of people who are going too far in our society. What is going on at the Mucky Duck? And the saga of the Mucky Duck deserves to be highlighted further. There we go. I think the name says it all. The Mucky Duck. So let's think about that. And I have never been to the Mucky Duck, but I think of the crooked house and the poor old sycamore tree. This seems to be a year where terrible things of this type occur. This is not good for our society. We should not tolerate much more of that. So it's an utterly appalling thing. At this stage, I invite you to send me some questions, if you can, and I will try and answer your questions. I only have one more topic to go. We have done only half an hour, but this is a Saturday evening, and here we go. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to send them. But in the meanwhile, I'll talk to you about Saint-Tropez. So yesterday, Rupert Neat, who must have been in Saint-Tropez himself, Nikki Darville asks, "Is my hotel nice?" No, I'm not in a hotel. I'm in a private family residence. Have I met Hans Rousing, Harriet Blanca? I saw you already asked that question before. Yes, I have met Mr. Rousing, and he's perfectly pleasant, though his story is rather complex. Yes. I shan't go any further. My plans for tomorrow. More sunshine and more pleasure and seeing more of the wonderful sailing boats here in Saint Tropez. It's the classic Le Voile sailing week, so that's what we're here for. Um, have I met Prince Edward? No, I've never met Prince Edward. Um, there we go. You wish you were there. Well, that's you could be there. You just have to get a flight. It would be a pleasure to meet you for lunch. Have I been to Ramatuelle? Yes, I have been there. Yes, Ramatuelle is a lovely place. Um, uh, do I smoke? Not currently, no. Is the Rolls Royce Spirit 3 any good? Um, I like Rolls Royce cars, but I don't have one presently. Wish I did, but not presently where I am. Am I on the seafront? No, I'm in a house that is next to the water and it does have a mooring, yes. Um, Token Spirit, well, I'll take you up on that. The lunch. Well, we'll have to have a lunch. Well, why not? Um, um, I dined today at the cafe in the square in Saint Tropez, and we had a lovely time there. And we were the last people to leave, and we did have a very fine lunch. Um, there we go. Do I believe in a free press? Well, I believe in a free press that is regulated by decency, and that includes the likes of GB News, who clearly don't seem to behave by the rules. So I think that companies of that sort need to be dragged through the mud until they are able to realize that if they wish to be part of such a thing, then they should learn some bloody decency. Will I go to the Chagall Museum? Um, Possibly, I don't know. I've caught the sun. Quite possibly, I have. Yes. Um, CJ asks, which guests would I like to join me on my evening chats? Well, that could vary, but um, I I have to work out how I get them to join in. I'm not very good at doing all this technology, so I need my technology person. Um, Nicole would like to come to the magnet. Well, it'd be a pleasure to invite you to the magnet one day, and you don't have to buy me a drink. It would be a pleasure just to meet you, Nicole. So please do come along. But um, would I ever interview Matt Hancock? I don't think Matt Hancock would have time to be interviewed by me, but no, he's not particularly someone at the top of my list of people I'd wish to spend time with. Are people on the French Riviera dressing well and smart? It's been about 15 years. Most of them do, but there's a lot of people here from Birmingham and Harrogate, and they seem to dress like English people, but that's nothing wrong with that if they wish to do that. I think that I shall have to end soon, but what I shall say is, this article in The Guardian is all about, it's written by a man called Rupert Neat. It's called Saint Tropez has become LVMH of Ville. Locals slam the super rich takeover. it has become a place of super rich. Now, I actually think this Guardian article is wrong because I think this happened years and years ago, and it's actually improving and getting better again now. I think they got it slightly wrong. I think they're 5 years too late because I think all the Russians are now out of here because they're sanctioned. But they're saying, this is a town that used to be a place where you could pick up a rod and tackle, and now it's easier to pick up a £25,000 mini Celine handbag. Um, I actually think it's kind of reversing here, but it's getting worse in other places. In Marbella this weekend, a load of British people have had anti-tourist stuff scrawled all over their cars. So now the article has disappeared, but they literally scrawled graffiti over British cars saying, "Get out of here," basically. Um, it seems that tourism all around the world is becoming unpopular again. In local towns like where I live, Broadstairs, people are a little bit sick of all these Airbnbs and the fact that restaurants are closing down. In places like Marbella, they are now scrawling over people's cars and saying, "Brits, go home. Go back to your country." In Saint-Tropez, the local community are having votes. In parts of England, there are votes, like in Burnham Market, as I talked about the other day. I think there is coming a reckoning of community over profit, and the rules on all these Airbnbs are about to change. It is going to be a different new era, and things will change. And the bargain basement Brit that voted for Brexit, who bought their holiday home in Costa del Crime or wherever they bought it, who now is moaning, well, you brought it on yourself. You chose to leave the European Union, and that is the consequence that you will pay. Um, the taxes will go up on these things. We are not. We have made an enemy of our neighbours, and that was a foolish thing to do. We should try and restore um, our relationships with our neighbours. That would be the wisest thing to do instead of this enemy of the people Barry bullshit. So, on that note, I should say enough on that. Have you any questions on any other topic? Because I think I shall otherwise leave you to your own devices. I would do a lovely quiz with you, but I don't have a quiz master because nobody here has been able to assist. Um, Maybe one evening I will find somebody here who might wish to do it. But I did bring the Anne Robinson book, but it's not sitting right next to me right now. But anyway, if you have any other questions, you are welcome to ask me in the next couple of minutes before I finish my glass of wine. Otherwise, I shall have to say good night to you all, which probably many of you will prefer. Have I been to Monte Carlo? No, not current on this current visit. Um, what is the wine? It's just a local Saint-Tropez wine. What do I think about the murder of Fergie's personal assistant? Well, I didn't really want to get into that, but I think the Duchess of York is making rather a palaver out of the whole matter. Of course, has a right to grieve, but she shouldn't be sending out Instagram posts begging for people to pay for this woman's funeral. If she was such a generous employer, why doesn't she pay for the damn funeral herself? I think that's an appalling piece of, PR stunt by the grifting Duchess of York typical of needy, greedy, me, Fergie, the woman who has still yet to explain, did you ever repay the loan you took from Jeffrey Epstein? I have no respect for the Duchess of York, the Sarah Duchess of York. She is an awful, dreadful woman who, alongside her awful, dreadful husband, need to explain their roles in the whole scandal of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And I will not be quietening down on that topic. Nobody will silence me. And, you know, other channels may choose to censor me, but I will not stop using the Ghislaine word. There we go, on my own. And I haven't been stopped yet, so there we go. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison and deserves to be in prison. And Sarah Duchess of York, I'm sorry about the death of her assistant. I didn't know this person. With the picture of her in the car, the first person I showed it to said, well, the two of them don't look like they like her. I don't believe many people who worked for the Duchess of York liked her. You know, then there was Jane Andrews. She was a murderess, an evil, evil, wicked woman. Just Google Jane Andrews. You get a different opinion on that whole story. So I don't need to say any more on that tonight, but you want me to create a cocktail called the Steeple Chaser. Well, maybe one day we may. Don't know what was in that Harriet Blanca, but if you would like me to send me the ingredients, I could perhaps make it for you live on air. One day we could perhaps try that out as an experiment. If you have a good idea, as long as it's not a stupid idea. I'm very particular about what I like in a cocktail, so I'm very hard to please. So please think carefully before you go further with your idea. Thank you for your idea. Except Mariner says I should stop remoaning. It's boring. Well, except Mariner, you are entitled to be a Brexiteer, and I'm entitled to be in favour of a Remain. If you don't like my opinions, you can bog off. I'm not interested. Couldn't give a damn. I've heard enough of your Brexit bore type of people and the nonsense that you spout. I will not change my mind. All I see from Brexit is disaster. You are entitled to your view. Stick with your view. I'm not going to change my view. So if you don't like it, you have the right to leave. You don't have to listen to me. You could go and listen to somebody else. Somebody else might wish to listen. You might wish to listen to. Or just please don't bother me further with such Barry baloney. I don't agree with it. But it's fair enough. I respect your right to have a different view. I have many friends, like my friend June. She loves Boris and she loves Brexit. But we don't argue. But she doesn't send me aggressive messages like that saying, quit the Ramona nonsense. She respects my right to have a differing views. So please do the same, or please go elsewhere. Thank you awfully very much. I don't mind whatever you wish to do. I like the fact that so many people come here of differing opinions, and I hope that you all enjoy the variety of differing opinions we have on differing topics. But we're not going to agree on everything in any case, in any of our cases. But anyway, may I say to you all, I thank you all so much. You'd like a toe rag cocktail? Well, we might think about that. But on that note, I'm going to say to you all, thank you ever so much. It's been a lovely evening. It's been wonderful to chat with you from the box. The box is going to become a legendary place. You know, the box that is not the box that you think it is the box. And it doesn't lift up into the air, unfortunately, like David Blaine's, but thank God I haven't had to spend 49 days in it like him or whatever. So good night to you all. Good gardening, good happiness, and don't have nightmares. Take care and good night. Pip pip.